movies like this, I, they make me want to cry. Um, you got one and part of two where it's like they're good enough to create that atmosphere where you're intense the entire time, where it's like the whole entire movie just works really well. I mean, less with two, obviously. I mean, it had some pretty stupid scenes, which, by the way, I'm sorry, you guys, I didn't express exactly why I hated that movie. It's just too much explosion. Let me just get it out of the way. I'm going to say number two has too many explosions. And it doesn't focus enough on the story at hand. That being said, so this is my review of Iron Man 3. So, like I promised, spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! From this point forward, I'm going to be talking in depth about what happened in the movie because I just watched it like a few days ago or something like that. Alright, it starts off, and this is the part that really got me right off the bat that I hated about the movie, is he is telling it like it's a story. Like, so he's telling it to somebody, which means either A, it's going to pan out eventually, and he's going to be telling the story to somebody, or which they do, and that was pretty funny, but, yeah, he's telling it like a story, so that something's wrong, like, but you also know that he survives. Like there will be no fake out. Like they physically can't be like cock tease. Like they can't do that because right off the bat they're setting it up for this is a story, which means that it's already happened. So he's still alive. Like and that was the first thing that bothered me first. And keep count. That's one. Second is he's bothered by what happened in Avengers, which is perfectly fine. If, like I said in Spider-Man, if it goes somewhere, people, like, seriously, if you have an idea, even if it's a dumb idea or something, go with it and make it lead somewhere, because that's how you lose our attention, like he's having these traumatic things, which eventually leads to another character being introduced, which, honestly, I don't think they needed that character. I'll get in depth with that because he's like number 5 or something like that. Like he's one of the problems I find with this movie is the kid in this. Again, spoiler alert, it's a kid that I'm talking about here. And I felt like like I said in two, he once again, at least he learns more. Like he relearns his lessons that he prior forgot for whatever reason. Like because apparently he has the attention span of a squirrel, where he can't pay attention long enough to retain the skills that he already had. Like he's just like, oh look, I just learned how to do this, and I forget now. Like. Oh yeah, I remember I could shoot repulse lasers out of my chest, and oh look, a berry. Like, and he just flop all over the place, and it's really really weird. Problem three that I have. The third problem with this movie was the prodigy son, MK42. Okay, the thing where he's like. And they like hook on, he does the thing, and it like, he's just like, and it just hooks onto him. That's pretty cool, and that's a cool feature. And I thought it was great where he's like, I mean, this is problem number 4, which is he gave his address to the villain. Like he was like, and I live at, so you better remember. And then he tracks the guy's phone, which was pretty funny. But he's like, yeah, no, I mean, pans out. Like at first, people are gonna state, oh well, he was only telling the story of the what happened to him prior. No, 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 no. He states at the beginning. He states, well, I guess it really all began in the summer of 1999 when and that's what he states. But yeah, so that's problem number one. Well, problem number four is the giving away his address to the people that are trying to, they're trying to kill all these people, and problem number three was with the suit. After he releases, the information, and the guys come for him, like he gives out the information. He's like, I'll leave the door unlocked. Come and get me. And then in the very next scene, he's like, there's a knock on the door. He's like, what, don't answer the door. I just gave my home address to a terrorist. We gotta keep those things locked. It's just like, okay, that's kind of humorous. But then it's like, they blow up the building, and you watch him. He's like, he'd been practicing with the thing, and he shoots them off, and they hook onto Pepper. Like, he set it up so that it would be able to hook onto Pepper. Like, he timed it perfectly. So you've seen that he could do that. Well, at the end of the movie, James Rhodey is like, yo, Tony, why don't you get me a suit? And he's like, sorry, I can't do that. I don't. It's only customized for me. That's what these things are. It's like, no, it's not. You, at the beginning of the movie, you did it to Pepper. What was she sleeping one night? And you said, Tony, what was that? Don't worry, just go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go sleep. Sleep now. I am on IronMan. Like, what happened? Like, there was why can't you do it to Rhodey? Like, because he's black? Is it because he's black? Like, I hate to play the race card, but yeah, that seems to be what you're doing. Even if it doesn't work like that, and it just hooks onto the first person that it comes in contact with, why don't you set it up so, like, you call over a suit and you stand next to him so that it'll hook onto him? Like, well, that doesn't make sense. You can't do that. Like, that being said, I do have a problem with the fifth thing that I have a problem with is Pepper Potts walks in, and she's like, hey Tony, and she's like, it's our dinner night, and da da da, and she's going on and on, and she's talking to IronMan, literally IronMan. For those of you like have seen the movie, you get what I'm talking about. Like, she's literally just talking to IronMan because he also created this thing so that he can format it so that he can do it while he's away from the suit. And that's a cool feature, but it kind of kicks you in the nuts about it because it's like, she's the most important thing in my world, but I can't take time to eat with her. So I mean, don't get me wrong, I love her and all, but it's hard to eat with her when we're both humans and we both need to eat, and we both have time to eat together. It's very hard to do. Like, that was number 5. Number 6, the kid doesn't make sense. I mean, they put him in there to create that sense of being able to overcome what didn't even need to be put in, like the PTSD that he has. Literally, the scene is this short. He starts having a heart attack, and the kid's like, are you having your are you getting into it? I didn't even say anything about New York. And he's like, great, you just said it by denying, which was that was kind of funny. But then he's like, well, I don't understand. Why are you acting like this? Why don't you just not do this? And he's like, oh, I guess you're right. It's like he got over PTSD just like that. He's just like, oh, you're right. I don't need this. It's just, I'm only acting. Like, why not? Like, and that really bothered me about that. And that was the 6th thing that bothered me. The 7th thing that bothered me was what happened to Rhodey. Rhodey in the first and even the second one jumps out of his way to help Tony. then Tony's like, dude, I'm somewhere in such and such place. Could you come find me? And Rhodey's like, I can't, dude. I kind of got, I'm doing this thing as the Iron Patriot. He's like, that's such a dumb name. Yeah, I know it is. He's like, yeah, I know. He's like, we still on for our bromance at 9? Oh, we'll be on for bromance at 9. Like, they're, and you know, it was kind of funny. Like, they did do some things with the whole Iron Patriot getting renamed, which I didn't like, first of all, because Iron Patriot isn't Rhodey. It's not Rhodey. It's Norman Osborn. And even though you don't have rights to Norman Osborn, don't freaking make it just to make it. Because what if you get your rights back from Sony? I know it's a big what if because it'll never happen, but what if you do? Now you cannot use this Tony Stark, that Iron Patriot, and Norman Osborn in the same universe. You just screwed the pooch. You did, not me. You did. I am just watching it. You're the one who did it. You did it with a dog. How do you feel? Point being, this movie, there's so many things wrong with it. I don't even know if I can make it in 15 minutes. That being said, 8. I'm up to 8, you guys. Like, I'm not guilty. Is the president was white. Yeah, I know I shouldn't nitpick or anything, but last I checked, he's only half white, you guys. And even that's debatable. I mean, we have a black president. Why did you do a white president in the movie where you just like, you know, be cool, something we've never done before, you know, like this. Listen to me here for just a moment. Just hear me out. Something that's never happened before in our United States history or in comic books. A white president. I know. People are going to be rushing for this one. A white president. It's not like Obama's going to sue you for putting a black guy in charge. Like, what was the point in that? I guess, you know, like, you could be like, oh, well, what's your problem? Why does it have to be a black president? Because most comic books reflect our time period we're in. And right now, I know people don't want to accept it, but we have a black president, and he is our president. We have to respect him, which means we have to give him the dignity of being in these movies and being represented by these movies. And I feel like he kind of got gypped on that because you were like, white guy, here, done. We're ending racism right now. You know what? Get Brad Paisley and LL Cool J. We're gonna have them sing the opening for that for those of you who know the reference. But yeah, and that bothered me. And then the ninth thing, nine things that bothered me. You know, I think there's pretty much one for every suit at this point. Like that, if I really want to go into it. But the ninth thing that really bothered me was the serum continuity. You know, you have the new director was, you know, he was riding off of what happened in 1 and 2. Like, he was trying to keep with that with the comic, so he creates this thing where they get powers where they are made of lava and stuff, which would be cool, except, you know, you're still going with the continuity, and when you inject somebody with that, it doesn't just do that, it does other things. Like, for example, Tony Stark's supposed to get injected with it, and he's supposed to be able to talk to machinery. Like, he's supposed to be like, oh my god, I can hear what technology's saying now, and like, he can talk to Jarvis on like an intimate level at this point. Like, Jarvis is a thinking phenomenon to him, whereas for normal people it sounds like regular Jarvis who's like, would you like me to do this, would you like me to do that, whereas like he'll be able to hear it, and Jarvis is like, oh, hello, it's good to finally meet you, type of thing. Like, that's cool, that's so cool. Like, but they didn't do that, and they didn't inject him, and that's too bad. And then they kind of made Pepper into the hero. Like, not only does she wear the Iron Man suit longer than, and this is my number 10 problem with this movie, is that she wore it, the suit for like 3 minutes in the movie or so. I think she, like, for the cameo number of times, it was only like 50 seconds like screen time, but it was like 3 to 5 minutes in the actual movie that she was the whole time wearing the suit. And then at the end, she puts the glove on to shoot the guy. Like, I mean, they kind of made her more of a hero. Like, the problem that I had was that throughout the movie, 80% of the movie is just Tony Stark. And don't get me wrong, guys, I like the movie. I know I'm hating on it a lot, but I did like the movie. But I did not like it as a superhero movie. I think if it's a superhero movie, you have to see the superhero. Whereas I thought it would, if it had been called something like Robert Downey Jr. is the man in the iron suit, like, that would have been great. That would have been, you could have made a whole movie about it, about him being like this dude who's like creating armors and stuff. But like, you didn't do that. It was Iron Man 3, and honestly, it was dumb. It really was. And then that leads to, he's mass producing these things, which I can understand part of this. I'll explain. My number 11 biggest problem with this was he's got his main suit, which is taking a beating. Like seriously, there's a scene, there's an explosion, and he's just like, all of a sudden his machinery is not working. Like, okay, why did you do that? It's your main suit. In the Avengers, we clearly saw you get shot with an electrical bolt of lightning by Thor, who tops his heat of those and power behind it at 15,000 degrees Celsius. Like, that's how much heat is on that bolt. And it hits you, and you're just like, oh, I'm refreshed. And you shot it back at him. Like, okay, I get, people are going to be like, oh, it's electricity, not fire. Electricity is freaking fire. It's friction through the sky. For those of you who don't know science, might I add, which I love science. Bill Nye the Science Guy. Yeah, I'm sorry. You can't just do that, because they're both still heat, vibration, and the combusting of molecules in the sky. One is instantaneous and it just kind of happens, and the other one progressively happens. So either way, it's still heat hitting you. And the problem that I had was he gets hit by that, but they're not a scratch on his suit. Then this other guy, who's only 3,000 degrees Celsius, is able to slice through his suit like it's butter. Like, that bothered me. And I can understand if he's doing that to the mass-produced suit, but he spent like forever on this one suit. Why would he downgrade all of the stuff that he used on the other suit, which could take on a god? Like, he even states, oh, I've met gods and aliens. I know there's so much more out there. What can I do? You've just acknowledged and pointed out why this whole movie doesn't work. Like, yeah, and that bothered me, was the suits. And then the 12th thing was that the Mandarin, he's white too. I'm sorry. I'm gonna sound racist on this one. Like, wait, he's black, and is it because he's black? Is it because he's white? Like, I'm brother, what up with that? Like, no, I have a problem with this, because the Mandarin is a Chinese man. They even had a guy who looked like the Mandarin. They said, no, he's an actor. No, don't you cock tease me. You already failed at cock teasing with problem number 1. Now you're cock teasing me with something else. Which, I mean, it was kind of funny to see, but at the same time it was disappointing, because, I mean, what am I gonna deal with? The rings of power are kind of hard to do in a movie. But I mean, if that's the case, don't don't cock tease it. Don't be like, oh yes, we have the Mandarin in this one and he's white. Like, no, just if you're not gonna do something right, don't do it, because it's gonna make a fan base really angry and bothered by it. And I mean, even like I said, I'm not a huge Iron Man fan. I'm not. Yeah, honestly, I'll pick any superhero over that. Hell, I'll even Rocket Raccoon over this guy. But you know, Rocket Raccoon's got BAs. Beautiful Joe. I'll pick Beautiful Joe over Iron Man any day. Point being, I'm not a huge fan of him, but I'm disappointed by it. And that's 12 problems I've had with this movie. And I'm sure I could nitpick more. Like, if I just sat here and watched it while talking to you guys, I could probably nitpick every detail that's a problem and come up with 50, 60 problems with this movie right off the top of my head, just because it's just that bad. And it does bother me that it was this bad, because, you know, what are we going to do? I mean, there was a quote, the guy who's directing Avengers and Avengers 2, which is going to be coming out in like 4 years. 3, I think. It's like 2016 or early 2016, I think. January, February-ish area, they said. But, yeah, that guy's like, well, now I don't know what to do in Avengers 2. Well, neither would I, because they just, like, ruined the entire franchise. Like, make him sound dumb. I don't know. Put him in a line where he's like, you got a pretty mouth. You want to go touch a metallic stick? Like, just give him something bad, because clearly he doesn't know. Like, not Tony Stark, but, you know, clearly the director doesn't know how to direct or even read a comic book, which we might add is only like 20% words. So I mean, it's almost as bad as not being able to read a children's book. Like, this guy's just like, yeah, 5 minutes to read a comic. I don't have time for that. Let's look at the front page and wing it. Like, that sounds good. Like, and he did too, because there was so little continuity in check. I mean, the call for backup, as they're calling it, that was kind of cool. I mean, but even that was, I mean, every time there were some falls, he should have died. And like, I heard somebody comment like he had a hold of Pepper and he dropped her, and that was another problem with the movie. I didn't find that as a problem, because, you know, I mean, yeah, he didn't look irritated for the woman who's in charge and whatnot, but he didn't catch her. Like, he put his hand out, he's like, Pepper, reach, and she just didn't reach, she fell. Like, that's not really his fault, you know, and she decided to save herself, and she actually says that, and that was pretty cool. So, I mean, you know, like I said before, do check out these movies, because if you have never seen an Iron Man movie, start with number 1. Do not start with 3. Do not be like, oh, I heard good things about this series. Let's go see Iron Man 3, because then you're going to come out and be like, what the hell? Like, who lied to me? But no, like, do check them out, because they're good. They are good. I mean, for everything that let me put it this way: if I had to put them on a scale of 1 to Tobey Maguire, like Tobey Maguire being the worst that it could possibly be, you're looking at it's a 1 or even a -1 for Iron Man 1, so it's like really good. You're looking at like a 7 for no, you're looking at like a 3. You're looking at like a 3, because I got that backed up for a second. You're looking at like a 3 for Iron Man 2, and then you're looking at like a 6 or 7 for Iron Man 3. Definitely not a Tobey Maguire, because it creates its own kind of fantasy world, which is what it is supposed to be anyways. But at the same time, it's that kind of fantasy world where you're like, there's not really anything going into it. You know, he clearly doesn't learn his lesson. He's a bad role model. He drinks way too much. He does this, he does that. Like, but, you know, so if you get a chance, do check it out, because, you know, it's a fun movie. That's Iron Man 3. Next up is the synopsis. Jack Trade out.